Good morning and welcome back to our journalism broadcast program. I'm one of your hosts, Christian Compton.
And I'm your co-host, Caitlin Sanderson.
And today we're going to be bringing you a very special featured segment brought to you by Lakewood's administration on the challenges of combating littering on campus. Our special guest here today is our principal, Mr. Michalik. Thank you for being here, Mr. Michalik.
Thank you.
Junior Madison Harris, thank you for being here, Madison.
And of course, our student body executive president, Mr. Richard James. Thank you for being here, Richard. Now we're going to turn the floor over to Mr. Michalik, our principal, to kind of start the discussion here about the challenges of dealing with littering here on campus. So feel free to start us off however you'd like, Mr. Michalik.
Thank you, Christian. Good morning, everybody. This topic is pretty important to all of us, I believe. I've talked often about the organization, cleanliness of the building, and we have a lot of people in the school that work really hard to keep the school clean. We work really hard for you all to try to have an atmosphere where you have a conducive environment where you can learn. It's really important around the facility, around the campus, that everybody pitches in to try to maintain a good, clean, organized campus. Of really good importance is the front of the building. We have our guests and those folks that arrive at the front of the building and come in the front office, and we really want to make sure that we keep that area just as clean as possible. That's the first impression that people have, and you know they only get one time to have the first impression, and if that first impression is not good, then it kind of sets the example for how the rest of the visit can go. So I would ask the students to work together with each other to make sure that you're cleaning up after yourselves in the classrooms. Certainly during the breakfast times, we have a lot of trash that's left on the floor, a lot of trash left on the tables, a lot of trash that makes our way down the hallways. And we don't always have the adults that are always going to be right there where a student might want to drop the trash or whatever. If it's an issue of not having enough cans out, we can certainly address that, but that hadn't been brought to my attention that we don't have enough cans out there. I think it's just a matter of everybody has to learn how to pick up after themselves, and it is a learning experience. You know, we're in a different environment than we are in our homes, and we're trying to make a good impression on how we are individuals, but certainly as a Lakewood community. How is it that we're treating the campus? Certainly during the lunch times, I've made announcements about A, B, and C lunch folks helping each other pitch in. And last week, we really got some good results after I made the announcements for everybody to help each other. But I challenge all the students, regardless of what your position is here at the school, to work with each other, work with your friends. When you get up from the table, you know, point it out to each other that you're trying to work your hardest and your best to make sure that we do have a good, clean facility. And you know, it's easy for me to ask you as one of the adults here in the building, but I think it's more important that all of the students here have a sense of pride and work with each other. I think when the students are the ones that are leading by example, it certainly is a lot more meaningful for the students to pitch in as young adults to set that example. There are a lot more students here than there are adults, and so I really count on you all and the students that demonstrate their leadership throughout the building to set the examples no matter where you're at, whether it's outside, front of the building, during lunch times, whether you're in the classrooms, walking down the halls, wherever you're at. Pitch in, show the example. If you're walking down the hall and you see trash, pick it up. I know that I'm picking trash up all the time as an example, but I don't like to see the trash, so I'm going to pick it up anyway when I help. And I even help during lunchtime. I know all the administrators do too, but I think it's really important that we take care of the small things on campus. If you don't take care of the small things, it makes it harder to take care of the more important things that really do matter. And those things, you know, are, you know, how are we doing on tests? What are we doing in each of your clubs and organizations to promote success in the school? And all of that's all combined to come together to show how premier we really are and how premier we really should be by addressing the small things. And although, you know, the cleanliness in the school is no small thing, because it does take everybody, it is one of those items that we can really affect very quickly if everybody just helps pitch in and keep the facility clean.
Any comments from you guys on anybody else want to start us off here? One of you two?
I think he hit it all.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's hone in then on. A lot of people would suggest that the problem starts. In order to address the problem, we should look at the roots, you know, the causes of the issue. So, do one of you want to maybe try to tackle what you think causes kids to leave trash to begin with? I mean, is it just forgetfulness, or is it maybe something more?
I think it's by choice. It only takes about 2 seconds to pick up a tray and throw it away. It would cause an inconvenience when lunch is over, just pick it up and pass trash can and throw it away. So I think it's by choice. We need to make our minds up and take our stuff to the trash.
Right.
I agree.
You agree? Now, I mean, surely you would concede that, I mean, some people just tend to forget. I mean, we all forget. At home, I'm sure we all leave dishes in the dishwasher, or leave them in the sink, I'm sorry, without putting them in the dishwasher once or twice. It happens. So, anybody want to maybe comment on that about just helping kids kind of remember, you think?
It is a practice. I mean, it's a learned behavior. If you're either taught at home or you're not taught at home, which is where it all starts, you know, it's easy just to take the easiest path, and the easiest path is not always necessarily the best path. It does require some work and some thought to clean up after yourselves,
Right.
and I think once you learn the practice and you expect that you're going to always pick up after yourselves, it just becomes second nature and you don't even think about it anymore. So if you're one of the students that's getting up from the table and you're walking around and see your friends, get your trash the first time you walk away from the table.
Right.
You won't have to worry about it again. And
Absolutely.
oftentimes that may be where all that happens. I don't know, but it is something that we have to consciously think about. And I think once you start doing that, it just becomes force of habit.
Right.
Now, I know you touched on trays being left in the cafeteria. Now, would you say that is the most seen type of littering around campus?
I think, honestly, I think that is a small part of it, but mostly I think what I'm seeing when I walk around, and everybody knows I'm walking around all day long, it's trash on the floor. Trash on the floor by the lecture hall in the morning, trash on the floor after all the lunches. We try to do a good job of letting the students know that we don't want food going down the hallways, but I periodically see trash on the floor going down the hallways. The tables can be picked up, and they are picked up relatively quickly. But when we have guests coming in the building and maybe everybody hasn't gotten to the hallways and there's still trash in the hallways, that really sets a bad tone for the guests when they come in and they look around and see trash on the floors. And that's something that everybody really has to think about and make sure that before you go down the hall, find a garbage can where you can throw everything away. So I think to answer your question, the tables are an issue, but the floors and the halls seem to me to be the worst of it.
Now, from an administrator perspective, can you tell us what exactly is being done to help kind of combat these challenges, overcome these obstacles here at Lakewood with littering? Like, I know that you've, of course, been very adamant about trying to, I mean, by being on this broadcast, you're obviously partaking in that effort to kind of combat it. But what else is being done? Like, are you guys doing anything else behind the scenes other than just, you know, helping to pick up the trash to maybe stop it from being there to begin with, or? What?
Well, like I said, I'd like to hear from everybody to find out whether or not, and get with the custodians, number one, to make sure that we have enough cans visible and where they need to be. That can always be, it's something in the old business world we used to call task interference. You expect somebody to do something, but you don't give them the resources to get it done.
Right.
I don't want to think that I don't have enough garbage cans out there and that is going to solve all of this, and it may or it may not. I have a feeling it probably won't. It's a training issue with the students. The students have to have, you know, first and foremost, the thought that they're going to clean up after themselves. And I think if they do that, we'd show a lot of progress. I also go around and I like to pass out principal's pins when I see other students, you know, acknowledging that it is an issue and they help other students. I've passed out the principal's pins, the whole pin program, and I still have, you know, to be frank about it, put it on the table, I still have some folks in the building, some of us adults that haven't quite yet bought into the pin program, but I think is a good incentive program, and I hear a lot of feedback from the students that, you know, it provides us a way to recognize the young adults for doing the good things that they do in the building, and I think a lot of students have come to enjoy that recognition. I've been known to go in and out of classrooms to recognize students with the pins, and I have students come up to me every day still asking me, how can I earn a principal's pin, and I let them know. You know, it's all about your actions. It's about, you know, going back to the culture of caring component. How much do we care about the building? How much do we care about the faculty and the entire building and campus and everything that we've got here? It takes all of us working together, faculty and staff and students, to make sure that we provide a good environment. And the things that we need to do are really not difficult to do. It's just a matter of an awareness and everybody understanding that, yeah, we can offer incentives and we can do those kinds of things, and they are important to do. But more important, it's kind of it makes you feel good when you're doing what you need to do and it's right.
Right.
If you know the right thing to do the right thing. And in this particular instance, since we're talking about the cleanliness of the school, the right thing is to help keep it clean. Nobody enjoys more walking around the building and the facility and being outside and seeing a really good sparkling campus. And it really sets the tone for not only us while we're here, but you know, imagine how it feels when you're walking around. The place is dirty all the time.
Yeah, right.
I don't think anybody really wants that. But it's important for me to know how the students feel about that as well. And it's important for me to have you all around the table helping the administrators convey the message to the rest of the student body that the cleanliness of the facility is important to you all as well.
Right. Now, one of you two, do you want to maybe, as a student, just kind of talk a little bit about what do you think about the whole issue, just in general, with kids? I mean, you noted it was a choice, but with people leaving their trash behind, I mean, just what do you think about that? And I mean, you talked about at the end of your statement about what it's like to walk around a campus that, frankly, I mean, it's trashy, and not that Lakewood's trashy. I'm saying
Right.
it would get to that point if there were
Right.
no preventative measures taken. So, anything from you guys, maybe you want to talk about?
I think it's a group effort. If you see one, say if I see you picking up trash, and I know that area is always bad and stuff, and I come by maybe the next block and I see the same thing you picked up earlier, I should have the initiative or the incline to say, well, you picked it up, so let me pick it up so it can look nice. So I believe it's a group effort. Don't let just one do it, because one cannot clean the whole school. Everyone should put in their effort and help out where you can help out.
Right. What about you, Madison?
I think that most people don't want to pick up after other people because they think it's like not their trash, so they don't have to pick it up.
Right.
But I think
Fair point.
that I agree that it's a group effort and we all need to pitch in and help picking up school and don't let it get to the point where it does become trashy, because Lakewood's not a trashy school.
Right.
Like you said.
So you actually raised an interesting topic there with, because I've heard that, I'm sure we've all heard that, people say, well, why should I have to pick it up, it's not my trash, but does somebody want to maybe say why it is important? I mean, you know, other than just for the sake of beautifying the school, I mean, that's kind of a moral thing there, what you say, I mean, you see something wrong, you do it, and you fix it, even if it's not you that caused it, right? So.
I think at the end of the day, your name is still on the roster in someone's class at Lakewood High School. If your name is on the roster in someone's class, you should have the encouragement to pick up after yourselves, because people come by and look and see, well, Lakewood's a trashy school, and you see you outside and be like, don't you go to trash at Lakewood?
Yeah.
I don't want to hear that when I walk around, so.
That's right.
Yeah.
Right, so it's a reputation thing also.
Yeah,
right?
reputation,
So, I mean,
yeah.
'cause- and you know, maybe you want to hit on this, because I know you tend to relate kind of what we do here at Lakewood to how it will affect us in the workforce later.
Sure.
So when you say that the cleanliness of Lakewood contributes to its general reputation out in the public with employers?
I don't know any job that anybody can be on where they're not going to be expected to, keep their area tidy and clean and those sorts of things. Having been in the business sector for 20 years before I got into education, part of my responsibility was to make sure that people were trained not only in safety, but an area that's not kept clean is also an unsafe area. And so when you talk about cleanliness and safety, those things go hand in hand. And whatever job you have in the private sector, once you, whether you go to college, whether you get a job after you graduate, it doesn't matter what you do, your employer is going to have an expectation, and you're going to be graded per se on your job with the ability to stay organized, stay clean, and keep a good, clean, safe, orderly area.
Right.
That's just part of the responsibility you have on the job, and this is a great training ground for that. If you're not used to cleaning up after yourselves, or you're one of those that gets home and you kick your shoes off at the door, and you're taking your clothes off down to your bedroom, whatever you're doing to get prepared for whatever chores you have at the house, it's just part of learning to be organized. And all of that goes hand in hand, whether it's cleanliness, safety, doing homework, doing chores, whatever it is, to be the most efficient, be the most safe, and do what you need to do around your home. It's just like you're at school. You're going to have a good, safe environment. We want to have a good, clean environment, and it just does take everybody to contribute.
Absolutely. All right, before we wrap this up, does anybody want to add anything about what we talked about so far? Any comments? You want to kind of give a little bit of a closing remark?
Yeah, I appreciate, having the students around the table here, and I'm always looking, when I'm walking around the building for all the good things that everybody in the building is doing. And, it goes a long way that even if the students see students helping, thank them as a fellow student for helping.
Right.
I try my part, and I hope I'm not forgetting to, when I see students pick up, I always try to tell them thank you, so that they know that it really is appreciated. I think that it would go hand in hand if the students would help also, is if the students see somebody helping. And I see a lot of students that are not afraid to pick up other people's trash because they don't want to have, the clutter in the hallways and on the tables. If you all are expressing your thanks to the students for helping to pick up also, like I said, there are a lot more students here than there are adults, and it's
Right.
really important for you all to realize that this building belongs to you. You know, the work and the labor and the money that's spent on this facility is coming out of our taxes. We can spend more taxes to get the job done, I think, if you want us to. But I would venture to say that most of us feel like we're probably paying enough taxes for the work that we're doing. And when you get that job and you're paying taxes and you walk into a public facility and you're not happy with it, think about the tax money that you're spending on making sure that that facility stays clean. So it does really take all of us to help keep the campus clean as can.
Absolutely. All right, anything else from the students before we wrap this up? We are kind of short on time, unfortunately. All right, well, once again, our audience, thank you so much for tuning into our journalism broadcast program. Once again, I'm one of your hosts, Christian Compton.
And I'm your co-host, Caitlin Sanderson.
And we always want to open the floor, of course, to any submissions to be on our show, ideas for topics. Once again, that can be emailed to lakewoodbroadcastprogram@gmail.com. Once again, that's lakewoodbroadcastprogram@gmail.com. Or, of course, you can stop myself, Caitlin, Ms. Lucas Parker in the hallway. If you want to be a guest on our show, if you want to submit a piece, whatever ideas it is you have, we always would love to hear them, of course. So thank you so much for tuning in. We hope you have a wonderful day.